My brother drugged his best friend and sent him to my bed in the hotel. I was forced to act as the antidote, and after waking up, Sean coldly agreed to marry me. But he went abroad shortly after the marriage, and my daughter and I waited for 3 years before he finally came back. When I went to the airport to pick him up, it was because my daughter called him Dad. Lillian, who was holding his hand, couldn't accept the betrayal and ran away with red eyes, but was accidentally hit by a drunk driver and died on the spot. Since then, Sean had never smiled again. He no longer went abroad and stayed by my daughter and me day and night. I thought that I had finally gotten my reward, but unexpectedly, on my daughter's 3rd birthday, the house caught fire accidentally, and my first reaction was to save Sean and my daughter. But he locked the door with an indifferent look, his eyes full of coldness and hatred. If it weren't for you, how could Lillian die? Every day after she died, I felt like a walking corpse. I had long wanted to drag you along to be buried with her. The fire spread to my daughter and me, and I realized that Sean hated us. I opened my eyes again, and was reborn back to the day when Sean was drugged. The uncomfortable panting sound came, which made me shudder all over. I looked over in the direction of the sound. Sean, who was drugged, had a flushed face, and a few buttons on his black shirt were unbuttoned in a mess. He was about to lose his mind. "Sonia, come here," he called me with a hoarse voice with a dazed look in his eyes. If it was in the previous life, I would have gone over to check on him out of heartache, but now I just stepped back in fear. I almost dialed Lillian's number without hesitation. "Is it Lillian? Come to Hotel 32, I said shortly. I held the door tightly, isolating the hot Sean inside the door. At the same time, my body gradually began to heat up. I remembered what my brother said in my previous life when he felt sorry for my secret love and directly gave his best friend Sean medicine and sent him to my bed in the hotel. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, Lillian rushed to him anxiously with a pale face. She looked at me suspiciously. "Sonia, who in the circle doesn't know that you like Sean? You are so kind. Isn't he having dinner with your brother tonight? Why was he drugged for no reason? Or are you playing some tricks again?" Lillian thought it was some kind of trick, but when she saw that the person in the room was indeed Sean, she frowned. I pushed her into the room while explaining. "It's too late to say so much, Miss Murphy. I know you and Sean are in love. You don't want to take advantage of other women tonight. Now he needs you and can't hold on any longer. My brother got the medicine from somewhere, and it was very effective. In his previous life, when Sean was still sane, he bit his tongue and broke several finger bones in order to control himself. In the end, he couldn't help it. But now Lillian was here. He shouldn't had to endure it anymore." A muffled groan suddenly came from the room, and the veins on Sean's forehead and neck bulged, which made Lillian stunned. She blushed, raised her head, straightened her clothes and looked back at me. "You are sensible, and didn't take advantage of Sean. Now that I'm here, you should give up." "No, why is your face so red?" I shook my head quickly and urged her to go in quickly. The moment Sean pulled off Lillian's suspenders, I closed my eyes and closed the door. Soon, an indescribable sound came from inside. Every sound was like a knife tearing my heart apart. I couldn't bear it anymore and ran out of the hotel without looking back. The effect of the drug in my body began to take effect. While I was still rational, I stopped at the door of a high-end club and stumbled in. The young and immature staff asked me with a smile, "Miss, what service do you need?" I patted my unclear head. "I want to order a male model." He was slightly stunned, took me to the private room, and then went to call someone. I didn't know how long I have waited. The door was pushed open, and a man in a suit and tie walked in. His eyes fell on my torn and messy clothes, and he was stunned. Before he could speak, I hooked my neck and kissed my lips. "I was drugged. Help me." The man was stunned. He seemed to frown and hold my hand to push me away. "You want money, right? Any amount is fine." I took out a bank card from my pocket and put it in his hand, then untied his belt. I seemed to hear the man calling my name in a trance. "Sonia, don't mess around." It was really noisy. I frowned and kissed his lips, and sure enough, there was no sound. No wonder the high-end clubs here were so popular. The male models not only had good looks, but also played hard to get. Finally, I heard a sigh from above my head as the man said, "Since you took the initiative, don't regret it." Then the man turned over and pressed me under him, kissing me with a storm. Before dawn, I woke up with a start, and it took me a while to realize that I had slept with a strange man, or a male model in the club. The man was still asleep, and I quietly put on my clothes and slipped away. When I passed by the huge floor-to-ceiling glass door of the commercial street, I found that my clothes were torn and there were all kinds of unbearable bright red marks on my neck. While my brother was still asleep, I hurried home to cover it up with concealer. As soon as I stepped into the door, an indifferent voice came from above my head. "Where did you go last night?" Sean asked, as he hugged his arms and leaned against the door to look at me. I was stunned. Didn't he indulge himself in the hotel with Lillian? There was still a circle of eye-catching kiss marks on his neck, and his eyes were lazy and indifferent. I lowered my head guiltily. "I went out for a walk." "Why did you come back so soon?" Sean's new villa was being renovated. Because of my brother, he had been staying at my house for the past few months. I looked around. "Where is Miss Murphy? Didn't she come back with you?" The next second, Sean's eyes fell on me gloomily. "Sonia, where did you go last night? Who left these?" I realized then that he was talking about the kiss marks on my neck. I subconsciously pulled my collar to cover them. "Nothing, just a mosquito bite." Sean sneered. "Don't think I don't know. Last night, your brother not only drugged me, but also had it in your wine. Why did you collude with your brother last night, didn't sleep with me, and ran out to sleep with other men?" He continued. "Sonia, do you think that you deliberately called Lillian over last night and disappeared overnight to make me worry? You played the trick of playing hard to get wrong." I was confused. Why was Sean so angry? Didn't I help him and Lillian? I felt so sour when I realized it. It turned out that he thought that I was playing hard to get with him by helping him last night. His indifferent and cold voice continued to come. "As you can see, Lillian and I were together last night, and I will marry her. I advise you to stop playing any tricks you want to play. I lowered my eyes and smiled softly. Okay, I'm sorry about my brother drugging you, but I really don't like you anymore. Sean looked up at me deeply, and he obviously didn't want to believe it, and his brows were furrowed. Just as Sean was about to speak, my brother's terrified cry suddenly came from behind him. Ah, damn it! Why is there an extra person in the house? He rushed over and pointed at the room upstairs with a trembling hand. Lillian, when did she sleep in our house? Sean closed the door with a serious face and explained calmly. I brought her here last night. She was tired after a night and couldn't get used to staying in a hotel, so I brought her back to have a good rest. What? My brother looked at him with a complicated expression, then looked at me. You didn't last night? He almost shrieked. Finally, his eyes fell on our necks suspiciously. I hurriedly fled. Brother, I'm going back to sleep first. I quickly fled back to the room, and I could still hear their voices coming from behind the closed door. Maybe my brother was questioning Sean about what was going on. After the meal, he was so angry that he slapped his thigh. You little fool, why did you give up such a good opportunity last night to Lillian? I interrupted him. Brother, don't say such things in the future. My brother looked at me in disbelief. I smiled. I don't like Sean anymore. Brother, please help me arrange a blind date. My brother really loved me. He confirmed again and again that I was not joking, and he breathed a sigh of relief. He said, my dear sister, you finally thought it through. Although Sean is an excellent man, there are many men who are better than him. I will contact you, Mario Lorenzo, the rich young man of the Lorenzo family, the marriage partner you rejected before. His family business is much bigger than the Barton family. He is also handsome, and like you, he has never been in a relationship. When you meet him, you may like him. I obediently took out my phone and added the contact information. I thought it would be difficult to give up Sean, but when I really gave up, I found that it was just like that. This time, I could finally change the fate of my daughter and me. At first, I just agreed to my brother to try blind dating first, but when I arrived at the coffee shop, I found that Mario was actually the male model I slept with that night. I blushed when I saw him, but unexpectedly, he smiled and pushed me against the wall as if he expected it. Are you shy? What? Weren't you very proactive when we met last time?